What if I told you that semen contains powerful biochemical signals that can influence your partner's mood, sleep quality, emotional connection, and even aspects of pregnancy health? Hello, gentlemen. My name is Dr. Nikki Bella, and for more than 10 years I've been guiding men over 50 through the often ignored science of male sexual health, helping them understand not only their own bodies, but also the profound ways their biology interacts with their partner's well-being. Today, I want to open a door that most doctors, even those in my field, rarely touch. We're going to explore the biological effects of semen on the female body, and I promise you, the research may challenge everything you thought you knew. This isn't storytelling, opinion, or cultural tradition. This is science, supported by biochemical analysis and decades of reproductive research. Modern studies reveal that semen is far more than a reproductive substance. It is a sophisticated fluid, almost a language of the body, carrying over 200 proteins, hormones, nutrients, and neurochemicals that can influence mood, immune responses, and even the quality of early pregnancy. Before we go further, take a moment to breathe. Many men over 50 have never been told how biologically powerful their bodies really are, and understanding this can reshape the way you experience intimacy. So, if this topic already intrigues you, stay with me and let's walk deeper into the complexity together. Now, let's clear up one of the biggest misconceptions men have. Most believe that semen is mostly sperm. But in reality, sperm cells make up barely 5% to 10% of the total volume. The remaining 90% to 95% is something far more elaborate: seminal plasma, a fluid engineered by evolution to protect, nourish, and energize sperm as they travel through the female reproductive system. This plasma is produced by the prostate, the seminal vesicles, and several smaller glands, each contributing specialized components designed for survival, protection, and communication at the cellular level. About 60% of this fluid comes from the seminal vesicles, rich in fructose, the energy source that fuels sperm mobility. Another 10% to 30% comes from the prostate, containing enzymes and proteins that stabilize, protect, and regulate the consistency of the fluid. Smaller contributions come from glands that provide lubrication and biochemical protection. But beyond these mechanical functions, here's where things get truly fascinating. Semen contains hormones and neurochemicals that mirror the very substances your brain uses to regulate emotions, trust, stress, and sleep. Inside this fluid are compounds like cortisol, the body's primary stress regulator, melatonin, the hormone that guides sleep rhythms, serotonin, which deeply affects happiness and emotional stability, and oxytocin, the bonding hormone, famous for strengthening connection and trust between partners. From an evolutionary viewpoint, it makes perfect sense. Reproduction isn't just mechanical, it's emotional, psychological, and biological. These compounds, when absorbed through vaginal or oral tissue, can enter the bloodstream and produce effects that have nothing to do with making a baby, but everything to do with mood, closeness, and well-being. I once had a patient, a 56-year-old man, who sat in disbelief when I explained this to him. He shook his head gently and said, "I had no idea my body was creating something this complex. I thought semen was just sperm floating in water." His reaction is common. And understanding the ingredients is the first step toward understanding the potential effects. This brings us to one of the most discussed and debated research findings of the past 2 decades, the possibility that semen exposure may have mood-enhancing effects. A famous 2002 study from the State University of New York at Albany surveyed nearly 300 women and measured their depressive symptoms using a standardized clinical tool. Women who were exposed to their partner's semen showed fewer depressive symptoms compared to women who consistently used condoms. Rates of suicidal thoughts followed the same pattern, dropping dramatically among women with direct exposure. Of course, correlation doesn't automatically equal causation. Many factors were not measured: relationship quality, emotional connection, and the psychological comfort that comes with intimacy. But researchers believe that some of semen's psychoactive compounds, including serotonin, oxytocin, and nerve growth factor, may play a role. When these chemicals are absorbed into the bloodstream, they may mimic the effect of natural mood-elevating hormones. This means that the emotional lift some women experience after intimacy may not be purely psychological. It could have a biological component. The melatonin found in semen, though present in small amounts, may also influence sleep, helping create the calm, relaxed feeling many partners describe afterward. And oxytocin, the bonding hormone, may deepen emotional closeness, increasing connection, trust, and intimacy. One couple in their early 60s once shared with me that after menopause, when they stopped using barrier methods, their intimacy felt more emotionally charged and harmonious than ever before. They described their connection as softer, warmer, and more present, as if their bodies were communicating on a deeper level. All of this reminds us of something essential. Intimacy is not just physical contact. It is a biochemical dialogue, a quiet exchange of signals, hormones, and emotions that shapes not only pleasure, but also emotional health and relationship depth. And the more we understand this science, the more we can approach intimacy with a sense of appreciation, awareness, and responsibility for ourselves and for the partners who share their lives with us. The wife later told me she felt a new sense of emotional closeness, almost as if something in their intimacy had softened the invisible tension she had carried for years. She said she felt calmer, more connected, less anxious, and more at ease in her relationship. And while I cannot claim with absolute certainty that semen exposure alone created this change, the timing aligned beautifully with what scientific research has been suggesting for years. Moments like these always remind me how deeply biology and emotion intertwine, how the body quietly communicates truths the mind doesn't always recognize. If this kind of research surprises you, feel free to share your thoughts. I always love hearing how these insights land for you. Now, let's move into one of the most scientifically fascinating and emotionally significant topics of all: how the immune system interacts with pregnancy and why semen can play an unexpected role in supporting a healthy conception. This subject is not just technical, it has profound importance for couples, especially those who have struggled with conception or pregnancy complications. Here's the biological challenge. A woman's immune system is built to identify and destroy anything it perceives as foreign or dangerous. But a fetus is technically a foreign entity because half of its genetic code comes from the father. In some pregnancies, the mother's immune system reacts too aggressively to this paternal genetic material, seeing it as a threat that must be neutralized. This overreaction can contribute to serious complications. The most dangerous example of this is preeclampsia, a life-threatening condition marked by dangerously high blood pressure. Many researchers believe that preeclampsia is linked to an unfavorable maternal immune response to the father's genes contained in the placenta. And this is where the story becomes remarkable. Multiple studies have shown that regular, long-term exposure to a partner's semen may help a woman's immune system build tolerance to the father's genetic material. The theory is simple yet elegant. When a woman is exposed to her partner's semen over months or years, whether through vaginal contact or even oral contact, her immune system begins to recognize the paternal proteins and antigens as familiar instead of foreign. Over time, the body learns that this genetic material is safe, and when pregnancy eventually begins, the immune system responds more gently, allowing implantation and placental development to unfold more smoothly. A 2003 study discovered something striking. Women in shorter relationships, less than 4 months, who regularly used condoms before pregnancy were 17 times more likely to develop preeclampsia compared to women in longer relationships with regular semen exposure. Additional research has repeatedly confirmed this pattern. Women who had prolonged exposure to their partner's semen before conception showed a significantly lower risk of developing preeclampsia. It suggests that semen exposure acts almost like a natural form of immunization, preparing the body to accept and support a healthy pregnancy. The key mechanism involves paternal antigens in semen. These antigens help the mother's immune system recognize and tolerate the fetus, reducing the likelihood that the pregnancy will be rejected or compromised. They help support implantation, lower immune aggression, and contribute to healthier placental development. Now, it's essential to stay grounded. This research is compelling, but it is not medical advice, nor is semen exposure a guaranteed protection against pregnancy complications. However, for couples actively trying to conceive, especially couples where the male partner is over 50 and the female partner is entering the later years of fertility, understanding how their bodies communicate on an immunological level can be incredibly meaningful. I once worked with a couple in which the husband was 54 and his wife was 42. They had endured 2 heartbreaking miscarriages. After discussing the research on immune tolerance, they chose to focus on regular, barrier-free intimacy for 6 months before attempting pregnancy again. That third pregnancy was successful and healthy. I cannot prove that semen exposure alone made the difference, but the science supports the possibility that it contributed to a more receptive immune environment. This connection between semen and the immune system is real, profound, and often overlooked. But while these potential benefits can feel encouraging, we must also address the very real risks that come with unprotected intimacy. Balanced information isn't optional. It is essential to protecting both partners' health. The most immediate and serious risk is the transmission of sexually transmitted infections. Semen is a potent carrier of viral and bacterial pathogens, and the mucous membranes of the vagina and mouth are extremely efficient at absorbing them. HIV can be transmitted through even microscopic cuts or inflammation. Herpes, both HSV-1 and HSV-2, spreads easily and can lead to painful recurring sores. HPV is particularly concerning. Some strains cause genital warts, while others increase the risk of oropharyngeal cancers involving the throat, the base of the tongue, and the tonsils. These cancers have been rising sharply, and oral HPV transmission through semen is a significant contributor. Bacterial infections such as chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis can infect both the throat and reproductive tract, leading to severe inflammation and long-term health problems if untreated. One crucial point many people overlook is that infections are often asymptomatic. Your partner may appear perfectly healthy while carrying a transmissible infection. Visual inspection offers no protection at all. Beyond infections, there is also the risk of seminal plasma hypersensitivity, essentially an allergic reaction to specific proteins in semen. While rare, affecting an estimated 40,000 women in the United States, likely more due to underreporting, it can range from mild itching and swelling to dangerous, systemic allergic responses requiring immediate medical care. And finally, the man's own health plays a fundamental role. Semen reflects the man's entire lifestyle, his diet, alcohol intake, drug use, and even medication habits. Toxins from excessive drinking, certain drugs, or high-dose medications can be present in seminal fluid. When semen is absorbed, these substances enter the partner's body as well. In this way, a man's personal habits become part of the biological environment he shares with his partner. The only true way to minimize these risks is through honesty, trust, and regular health screenings for both partners. Intimacy should never be approached blindly. When two people share their bodies, they also share their health, their safety, and their future. Without a foundation of honesty, shared responsibility, and mutual awareness, the potential for genuine connection becomes fragile, and even something beautiful can turn into a painful misunderstanding. I once counseled a couple in their late 50s who had been together for 2 years. They adored each other, trusted each other, and believed that age and commitment alone guaranteed safety. But they had never once discussed STI testing. When the wife suddenly developed a persistent throat infection, an infection that later tested positive for gonorrhea transmitted orally, their world shattered overnight. The medical issue was resolved quickly through full screening and proper treatment, but the emotional wound was much deeper. She felt betrayed, frightened, and uncertain. He felt ashamed, confused, and overwhelmed by guilt. They eventually rebuilt their relationship, but it took months of difficult conversations, counseling sessions, and rebuilding lost trust. And that experience reminded me once again that the risks involved in unprotected intimacy are not abstract. They are real, serious, and non-negotiable. Gentlemen, let me bring all of this together for you in a way that truly honors your intelligence and your relationships. Semen is far more biologically intricate than most men ever imagine. It's not just a reproductive fluid. It is a scientifically engineered cocktail containing more than 200 proteins, along with powerful hormones such as serotonin, melatonin, and oxytocin. These aren't random substances. They are the very same chemicals your brain uses to regulate mood, connection, bonding, immunity, and even aspects of reproductive success. The research we have, although still developing and often correlational, points to several intriguing potential benefits. Neurotransmitters in semen may influence mood and emotional stability. Oxytocin absorbed during intimacy may deepen connection, promote trust, and enhance relationship closeness. Regular exposure to a partner's semen may even contribute to immunological tolerance, reducing certain pregnancy complications, such as preeclampsia. These discoveries add a remarkable new dimension to how we understand intimacy, suggesting that it is not only emotional or physical, but also biochemical, a quiet conversation happening beneath the surface of the skin. However, you must weigh these potential benefits against the very real risks. The transmission of sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, herpes, HPV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis, is a serious and undeniable danger. There are also rare but severe allergic reactions to seminal plasma, which can escalate into life-threatening emergencies. And the man's own lifestyle, whether he drinks excessively, uses drugs, or takes certain medications, can influence the chemical makeup of semen, exposing his partner to toxins her body never intended to absorb. My goal in sharing this information is not to push you toward a particular choice. I am not here to moralize or tell you what intimacy should or should not look like. My purpose is to help you replace myths, taboos, and half-truths with knowledge. Because real empowerment, the kind that protects your health and strengthens your relationships, comes from truly understanding the biology behind your choices. And when you understand the full picture, you can make decisions that honor your well-being, your partner's safety, and the trust you're building together. For men over 50, this knowledge becomes even more relevant. Your bodies are changing, your relationships may be entering new phases, and intimacy often takes on deeper emotional meaning. Whether you are in a long-term partnership, entering a new relationship later in life, or redefining what intimacy looks like for you, understanding the biological complexity of semen helps you communicate better, make safer choices, and protect both yourself and the person you care about. Everything I've shared with you should only guide decisions made within a space of absolute trust, honest communication, and shared commitment to health. Healthy intimacy is not just about pleasure, it is about responsibility, compassion, transparency, and mutual protection. If this video gave you meaningful insight, go ahead and hit that like button. Leave a comment below and tell me, did this information change the way you see things? What part surprised you the most? And don't forget to subscribe for more honest, science-based guidance tailored specifically for men over 50. I'm Dr. Nikki Bella, and I want you to remember this. Your sexual health matters, your partner's health matters, and knowledge is the foundation of safe, confident, deeply connected intimacy. Take care of yourself, and take care of the person who shares their life with you.